Alright guys, Wonder Weasel back here today this evening in Townsend, Tennessee, and we are at the Little River Railroad and Lumber Company Museum. Guys, I'm just going to walk you around here and show you this place. It is really unique. It has a really tight connection to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the Elkmont area in the National Park. They're decorating part of it currently for the Christmas season. I wanted to share this with you, so come along with us. Little River Railroad and Lumber Company Museum. As I said, they are right now currently decorating. They've just done the Little River Railroad water tank. They just now put up lights and garland around it and everything, so we're going to walk down through. Hello, Wonder Weasel. Guys, the steam train engine that you see right here, like I said, it and this log loader machine that's beside of it has a really tie into the national park, the Elkmont part of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Alright guys, Shay engine number 2147. Engine 2147 is a 70-ton Class C Shay locomotive built in 1909. Shay engines are a special kind of locomotive specifically made to pull heavy loads up steep hills and around sharp curves. This was done on very rough tracks, meant to only last for a year or two until an area's lumber was gone. Unlike a conventional steam locomotive where the wheels are connected directly to the engine with long steel rods, Shays used a series of gears to power every wheel. This allowed for the beating infliction up on rails by rods to be eliminated and for the locomotive to gain more traction at the cost of speed. Number 2147 was built in Lamar Locomotive Works in Ohio for the Pkwy Lumber Company in Tellico Plains. It worked for the Little River Railroad Company between 1932 and 1935. By 1965, it was being used on a scenic railroad in North Carolina as a part source to maintain two other Shays. In 1982, it was returned to Townsend and was the first item on the museum site. Number 2147 is the last remaining Shay engine from the Little River to not be wrecked or scrapped. So guys, like I said, that was used in the logging stuff here in the national park and the Elkmont area and everything, and I will show you what they're talking about on the gears on these wheels. As you can see, the way these drive lines and such are coming through, and like your typical steam engine, there's actually gears on the outside of those wheels you can see right there that actually helped for the pulling. You can see right here on this front end the actual gears of how it would have hooked up and such to help turn the wheels to have extra traction. So guys, it is a very unique train. I've never seen nothing of this nature before. It is really, really nice. It's really cool, actually. Would like to try to operate that thing. The log loader that was on the rail with it, behind it, right here, you can see it and everything. So guys, that's just a little history here on the steam engine at Little River Lumber Company here in Townsend, Tennessee. Guys, we're going to walk on around through and show you the rest of everything that they have to offer here right now. Alright guys, we are here in Townsend, actually at the Little River Railroad Company, as I was telling you, and the museum. And guys, we've got a gentleman that actually works here, and he's going to give me some history on Townsend and such. But I wanted to show you these pictures here on the wall as he is telling us this history. So,
Mr. Townsend came down here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
okay,
to log a major part of the Smoky Mountains. He had over 550,000 acres, over 500,000 acres.
wow.
And make a long story short, and then I'll backtrack. He started the process in around 1934 to sell property back to the government. He was the first person to sell government property back to the government to help create the national park. My belief is if he hadn't done that, we may have cabins all over the Smoky Mountains, and there wouldn't be no Smoky Mountains.
Yeah.
But he came down here for one reason, to log the Smokies for tan bark. Most people don't know that. He got bark off 4 different varieties of trees. He sold it to a tannery down the road in Walden. They used the tan bark because they didn't have chemicals back then to boil and make leather from cowhides. And there was lumber here stacked up, beds of board feet of lumber.
But all they
As
wanted
far as you can see,
was bark.
without bark. And the wood was a byproduct. They were selling the bark off the logs. So he had roughly 600-700 employees working in the mountains. And here in just a minute, I'm going to show you a set-off house. They call it the first mobile homes.
Really?
He built these 10 by 14 cubic boxes that were a house. And they call them the first mobile homes. And a couple of years ago, his granddad had acquired some of them, and they brought them all down out of the mountains and lined them up out here and sold them. Practically gave them away. Probably sold them for $1 a piece. There was over 300 of them.
Golly.
We acquired 2 out of a house over close to Dollywood, which is about 25-30 miles from here. After investigating, this guy's granddad said that he had acquired them after the logging had ceased. They carried them over there and they built a house around them. They were preserved, and there's only a handful of these things left. And we've got one of them inside here for display, and we've got one outside that we got the second one off the same house. The house is gone now. There was about 4 or 5 of them put into this house.
So you just took the individual houses and put them into one big house to form one?
They would set them down, and they would add between them and make a big house. And they put 2 layers of siding on these houses. And it helped preserve, plus they added a new roof, a steeper roof. And the way we found out, we went in there. We went into this house and investigated it over in Upper Middle Creek, close to Dollywood. There's a square hole underneath the carpet we ripped up. That's in the bottom of every one of these set-off houses. They would punch a hole through the roof, they'd drop a cable down through there. It would go through that hole and they'd throw a timber through the eye of that cable. That's how they lifted them up with a steam engine and loaded them up.
That's so
That's
awesome.
how we found out that they were set-off houses.
Hmm.
And most of them were built just like this one that y'all are fixing to see outside, inside our shop area.
I've never even heard of this.
And after what they did, see, they would log an area, maybe 4 or 5 miles square, beside the tracks. There was hundreds of miles of track in the Smoky Mountains. They would take them up, put them on a flat car, and they could move a dozen of them at a time. They'd move them somewhere else, further up the line, set them off, and then start working again in a different area. But
That's practical.
They were used. They call them the first mobile homes.
That is so cool. I've never heard that. I've never saw that in the
Walk through that
book.
door, you'll see one.
Okay.
And we've got it set up back to the original shape like it was, except for the paint. Somebody painted an odd color inside. If you walk around to the side window on the far side and look in there, you'll see that hole in the floor. There's a plug or couple boards that can be pulled out. That's where they drop the cable so you pick them up.
Was this just for like primarily this region, or did other
I
logging
don't
companies use
know
it?
if other places did that or not. But Mr. Townsend came down here from Pennsylvania, like I already
He was
said.
in it all for the money.
He was in it for the tan bar. Because there's a tannery right here. A guy from England came over here. And the tannery had to have tan bar in order to produce leather.
So essentially, the smoke started getting logged, not for the wood, but for the bark.
Well, that was Mr. Townsend's part.
Okay.
Now, there was other companies around here. There was about 6 major companies that were logging the Smoky Mountains. And this is something people don't realize. When Mr. Townsend started selling the land back to the government, he didn't sell it all. He sold the part he had already logged. Which
He
was
sold the
about-
part he didn't need.
Right. But he had already committed that he would give the park for the cash money he wanted per acre, all of it later. But he sold it back to him gradually as he was logging it.
To get what he wanted out of it first.
Right. And then that's what created the park, because he's the first person that sold it back to the government to start the process. in
I had never
1934.
heard who the first person to sell was. That's not one of those things that's just
There-
commonly.
if you look through some books, you'll find a map in there, and it shows that Mr. Townsend had the second largest amount of property, and it was over 550,000 acres.
Well, I always wondered what Townsend was named after, and
After Mr. Townsend, W.B.
Yeah, it
Townsend.
makes sense.
William Townsend. And he had a number of engines. Some of them were Shays. A Shay is an all-wheel drive steam engine. It's gear driven. It's real slow, but it's designed to go up and down steep grades.
I had never saw one of those.
A lot of people
till
don't
we looked at
realize this. They use sand to help trickle on the track out of canisters that were on the engine, and it would help it gain traction. And not far from here, I take people on hikes in Tremont, which I can get there in 15 minutes from here. As soon as you get to the end of the road down here on 321, instead of turning on 321, you go all the way to the end where the park starts. You got an option to go to Gatlinburg or an option to go to Cades Cove.
Yep.
Head towards Cades Cove, you won't go but a short distance, and there's a road turns to the left. That's where Mr. Townsend brought a large amount of the logs out, down through there. If you follow that all the way to the top of it, you will come to an area where there's a circle. At the end of it, you have to cross a couple of one-lane bridges. I've been up there on there, motorcycles, a car, and everything. Anybody drive up there. When you get to that triangle area that you drive around, that's one of the original bridges right there. The pediment, the concrete and all is still there. If you start walking across that bridge, you look down in the water, you'll see an area where there's some steel sticking up. There was a hydroelectric power plant right there that supplied power to that hotel right there. It's in the pictures.
And what time frame was this?
This was around 1905, 1910, when this
Seriously?
hotel was built up there. And it stayed there for about 30 years. One of the rooms was dedicated to a teacher that taught in the building. I don't know if I got a picture of it up here or not. There was a building built off to the right of this bridge, in a low area, in a flat area, that was used for church and used for teaching, for school, combination building. And all this can be seen in books and pictures in our museum.
All right, guys, you heard the history lesson from the gentleman here at the Little River Railroad Company and Lumber
My name's
Museum.
Steve. I'm the vice president.
Steve? Okay. Vice President Steve here at Townsend at the Little River Railroad Museum. Guys, I wanted to just share you that little bit, and we're going to actually take you out here in their shop and show you something. He was talking about those houses. So guys, let's walk out here just a moment and look. Alright guys, this is one of the set-off houses that he was telling you about. Set-off houses comes homes and everything. Guys, keep in mind, he said this is a 10 by 14 building. That is the size of my storage building at my house. That, like, I store my lawnmower and things in. I didn't realize it could be actually used for a house. As you can see inside, the house and everything, and you can see the panel right there in the top of the ceiling. There's a little hole. That's what he's talking about. They dropped the cable down through and everything, and would put a log through to pick them up and swing them off beside the tracks. So really neat history, guys. I would absolutely love to have a little fireplace like that right there, a wood stove. Check that out. It looks like it's in a 55-gallon drum.
This right here
That is awesome.
tells about why.
Alright guys, we've got another little bit of history lesson right here. I'm showing you the picture of the set-off houses.
This one right here was this particular house that we're looking at right now. That is it. It came off this house.
Okay.
And you got to keep in mind that these things were built in the early 1900s, and they were sold or given away when they finished logging the Smokies, and it wound up over there close to Dollywood. There was about 4 or 5 of them put into this house. The 2 that we took off the house, this one and the one on the far right side, were still intact with all 4 walls.
Wow.
So they were easy to take loose and move. We had to disassemble the roof, disassemble them from the foundation and the house. And we loaded them up on this guy that had a hydraulic trailer. And that's how we moved them here.
Wow.
And this is actual pictures of them being picked up by a steam engine and being hauled off where they're actually using them in the Smokies. We see this picture right here. This probably got 6 or 8 of them on that one flat car.
Guys, if you can see that little the crane and that cable that's coming down through the roof of these set-off houses, that's how they swung them off the rail cars and set them off beside the tracks for the workers, I guess, the loggers that was up in the mountains, so they had somewhere to live. So really awesome. A lot of history right here, guys. I would definitely come and check this place out if you're especially a train enthusiast and a logging enthusiast. Very awesome to come and check out. Set-off houses come to home. Never did know that was a thing. Guys, we're going to go back out, and I'm going to take you out through the outside area some more and show you all that, and down toward the museum it takes itself. And guys, yes, it is dark, or getting dark, but I'm just going to walk you through the outside. They've even got the train lit, guys. You can walk up to the operating area of it and everything. It's really awesome, guys. This gentleman has really clued us into a lot of history here and everything. You got the old portable steam engine. I'm gonna try to see if I can read this. I hope it's not dark enough I can't read it. Portable steam engines such as this one were used in the backwoods to power portable sawmills. Although the Little River Lumber Company never owned one of these, many of the contractors during the earlier days of logging used them. They would be hauled into a location by horses, then the flywheel would be connected to the sawmill with a belt. This engine was manufactured by the Frick Company of Pennsylvania. So as you can see that and everything, it was a portable steam engine, guys, for the sawmills. Really cool. Like I said, there's a lot of history here, guys. Okay, guys, when you come down here to the bottom, to the museum area, the museum is to the right and the gift shop is to the left. Straight in front of me is the gift shop, and straight over here to the right is the museum. So, guys, we're going to walk through it and look around in a minute, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. There's a whole lot of pictures and a lot of information here on the walls. End of the era. All kinds of history about it, of everything. I'm not going to go over all this, guys. You'll just have to come here.
If you like trains, it's something about the history.
Wallen, Knoxville, Appalachian Club. Elevation's 28 feet. Tourism, the Elkmont National Park. Just all kinds of stuff right here, guys. Guys, you can see the trains and such here.
The introduction of tourism to the Smokies. They used the old rail beds and did observation cars.
I see
tour you
that.
through.
That is wild. Guys, I just wanted to show you some of these pictures. Logging and the land. You can see how rugged the tracks and stuff in the land area was for the tracks that they put in. Guys, that's the old chestnut trees that the chestnut blight come through and killed out. You can see how big they are. Townsend. There's the train there where they're working on it and restoring it and such. Building the railroad, showing how they built the railroads through for the logging. And guys, Townsend was actually named after W.B. Townsend, which is this gentleman right here in this picture. Tannery, how they early settlers. And the natural history. Guys, right there, some of the rail and such, as you can see. Guys, here in the museum, they also show the train wrecks of all the trains and stuff that have wrecked here in the national park when they was doing the logging and everything. Some of it's just absolutely ridiculous. Locomotives and rail cars. And the early logging, the big saw blades for the saw mills. Property maps. Harvesting timber.
Cut down a tree with that?
No, but I've seen many of those saws. Some of the bells that was on the trains and the lights. The chains and the log spikes to pull the logs with. One of the big log clamps. Camp life. Log trains. At the mill.
Board compared to a human.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm. Now you know how some of the ones that went in the log cabins, how big that was.
I mean, look at this.
Mm-hmm. Guys, right there was one of the boards that had been cut out of a tree.
It's a poplar board.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's what, a good 4 feet across?
Look at Shay's height was.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane for the time frame.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. I just wanted to share you the Little River Railroad and Lumber Company here in Townsend, Tennessee. The museum and everything, and some of the history. Guys, this is a definite stop if you're in the Great Smoky Mountains. Just come out of Pigeon Forge at Light 3 down Weirs Valley Road and just stay on that till you come into Townsend. When you come across the river in Townsend, the bridge and everything, the road will split left-handed, goes toward Cage Cove and the National Park and Little River Road. Right-handed actually comes down into town here of Townsend, Tennessee. Guys, definitely go right, come down into town, or if you're coming from the Knoxville area through Maryville, come straight on through, down through Townsend. Stop by this place, guys, if you have kids, if you're a train enthusiast, or just a history fanatic. Definitely come here and check this out. There's a lot of history about the Great Smoky Mountains, Townsend itself, the National Park area, the logging and stuff that went along back in the days of the early 1900s to the mid 1900s in the Great Smoky Mountains before the National Park came into play, and how the National Park came into play and everything and such. So guys, definitely come and check this place out. The Little River Railroad and Lumber Company Museum in Townsend, Tennessee. If you like this vlog, give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so far. Ring those notification bells, guys. And if you are new here, we do upload Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 3 videos a week. As I keep saying, we'll keep shooting them. Y'all keep watching them. Guys, I am up on the side of the steam engine that I was showing you in the daylight. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the Christmas lights on it and everything. I just wanted to share you that too, to sign off with the train. So, alright guys, it's the Wandering Weasel signing off from Townsend, Tennessee, Little River Railroad and Lumber Company Museum in Townsend, Tennessee.